Flo.
Hey, TJ.
Hey, hey, how you doing?
Oh, you know me. I'm always hanging in there.
Okay. Before we start the stream or get into what we're officially going to do today, I want to share a story. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I was at work the other day, and I have a coworker, black girl. She's about 36 years old. She's about 36. Now, we talked about on the stream multiple times that like what traditionally black men want their woman to look like, natural, all this good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not all the weave, not all excessive makeup, not the eyelashes, nails, and none of that. This young lady is what I would consider to be like the prototype, a classic, beautiful, very ethnic, but very beautiful, good skin, good color. She, you know how like when you got like when black women, their hair is like natural, like nothing in it. You know how
Right.
you can braid it all up and then you can
Right.
unbraid it
Braid it and get those
and then
natural curls.
a bunch of curls and she had like an auburn rinse in it. I'm talking about this girl, and then she's tall. She got the 1960s, 70s black woman figure. I mean, from a physical standpoint, and then she acts like a girl. So for a guy, looking at her, it's like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
A breath of fresh air.
There you go. 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years ago, her first child was born.
Hmm.
About a year after that, her second child was born. So now she has one child that's two. She has one child that's one.
Hmm.
The fella, promised her, said to her, "You give me some babies, I'll marry you." Do you think that marriage has happened yet?
I doubt it.
You doubt it. Absolutely. And so I was talking to her. She was kind of stressed out and frustrated about some things. And I was kind of talking to her about it. And then the one thing that I did not know, I really wasn't aware of, is the fact that he had two other
Baby mamas.
baby mamas, two other baby mamas. So she's the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said to her, I said, people always think that I'm so pessimistic, like I have no, like I'm always just looking at the dark side of things. But I guess from the man perspective, or the man side of me, I look at things from a very pragmatic standpoint, and the fact that I know guys, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her this, and maybe not, I shouldn't have said it in this way, but I'm getting to the point in life where I don't think I should need to hold my tongue when it comes to our women. And I said to her, I said, it's fine that this brother told you that he wanted to marry you. I mean, that he wanted to marry you. But everything is a negotiation. If he wanted some more children and you wanted the marriage, it is our responsibility to deliver our end of it first, because the outcomes for you are way more detrimental, than it is for us. And I said to her, now you may be still with this man. I said, but you may be still with this man, but it's very unlikely he's now going to marry you. He might. We don't know. I ain't making no judgments about this brother. No way. I don't know him. Don't know the situation. And I said to her, you're frustrated because while you are up here, because she's traveling from another state working up here, and then when her days off, she goes back home to her home state. So she's traveling back and forth, and her mother has her two small little baby, basically two little babies. Her mother's taking care of the babies, and she's stressed out. And I said to her, well, you got to get him the help. And she goes, I know, but he got these other obligations. And I said, those obligations are of no concern to yours. And I said to her this. I said, I asked her the question, if I don't know how many kids he has with the other women, but he got two with her, I said, if all set of kids get sick, gravely sick, who does he go to first? And I said to her, she goes, well, me, because he's with me, he's in a relationship with me. I said to her, I said, lady, you are on the same level as the other two baby mamas. Had you made him marry you, I know this is going to sound a little brutal, but morally, spiritually, ethically, you and your kids come first and the others are outside. He's obligated to his household first.
Is you think that's the way it can be, even if he's married and he got kids outside?
If he would have married her and had babies with her, any one of those women, his obligation first is to his wife and the children with that wife. I said first. I said you have no higher standard than the other two women. Just because you're in a relationship with him does not give you any higher status. There's only two statuses, wife or not. And I said to her, I said, men are conquerors. We like to conquer our environment. And I know you ladies don't want to hear this. We like to conquer you. The best evidence that we have of conquering a woman is her producing our child. That is the ultimate level of conquering. That is the announcement to the world that you belong to me because you have my child. I said, you've been conquered before you required anything. And I said to her, you know what you suffer from? And I just was kind of ripping off the top of my head. I said, you suffer from the Nick Cannon syndrome.
Whoa. It's the little Nick Cannon, huh? I
told her, I said, you were 30. I said, 3 years ago, you were 33. You look this good. You this charming. I said, I don't know you in a relationship, but you got a lot of female, feminine, non-aggressive energy. You got softness to you. You're not beaten down by situations in life and all this. I said, you were in a situation where you could have required or gotten the best Black man out there. You work in healthcare. You could have gotten a physician, a research, somebody who works in research or development or IT. I said, because you had the one thing that most productive Black men said that they want is a beautiful, natural Black woman with no children. That's what you were 3 years ago. I said in a world where 73% of our women have children, you were the lotto ticket and you didn't know it. The Nick Cannon syndrome. We're going to get into it. Wow. Stay tuned.
Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's chop it up, man. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, may I interject? It's about time for communal reconnect. Power of the we in some type of context. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown sister type of flex. More like soul check, not just collecting checks. Fact, not feelings is what we got on deck. Take the high road, so this here is high tech. Getting to the real, everything that we hitting on. Pull up or sit down, tell me what you sipping on. Reclaiming kinghood, that is what we getting on. Real headlines is what we spitting on. So, hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Have a conversation. Have a conversation.
Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation. All right, strap in. We're gonna get straight into work. Okay. Before we do that, listen. Anybody watching who wants to come on, join the conversation, join the panel about what we're going to be talking about today. I am about to. I just did it. Down. If you're watching on YouTube, I just put a link in the description of YouTube. You can click on the link and you can join the conversation when we get to the our friends the guests that I have today. You can come on if you got anything to say about what we got going on today. Okay. All right. So that's my little bit. Let me get right into it. Over the course of since we've been doing this stream now about 4 months. And the one thing that we've been consistent about is the fact that we want to keep in the forefront of our mind is the fact that we want to really work on our image or reclaiming our national image. And I usually start off every stream with the Real Bravado's definition of image. So I'm going to do that right here. Okay. Image, it's a noun. Sometimes image is used like a verb depending on how people are talking, but image has several meanings if you look it up in the dictionary. But the one we operate under over here is this: image is the reputation that a person is known for, which includes their behaviors, their character, and also the appearances. Another way of putting it, your image is your reputation. It's how you're perceived. It's how you're viewed. Okay. All right. So at the top of the show, at the top of the stream, I got into the story that prompted today's stream, which is the conversation I had with my coworker, and then also on the heels of that came the big announcement that Sir Nick Cannon is just had a 9th or 10th kid. I got 2 or 3 more on the way. But there's some things that I want to talk about in regards to that. And I got some friends with me. So what we tend to do over here is we actually introduce our topics in a segment that we call the Real Bravado Headline. So let's get to it. All right, so before we jump into the Real Bravado headlines, the headline today is the Nick Cannon syndrome. All right, and I'm gonna play a short little clip. I'm gonna skip around on a little bit, and then I'll get into and I define what the Nick Cannon syndrome is. Hold on a second.
Everybody knows last night, Nick Cannon became a father for the 9th time, introducing Onyx Ice Cole Cannon, okay? So he makes this big, grandiose speech on social media talking about the gift and the awe of the divine feminine, and then he tags Miss Lanisha Cole in this post. So maybe some of you guys know this, maybe you don't, but they have actually dated in the past. I had no idea that they were still in the mix, and I definitely did not know that she was one of the multiple baby mamas, okay? So what's going on is, even though this professional plantation buck breeder, Nick Cannon, announced that he had another baby on the way about a month ago, he failed to inform us about this one, that he actually had 2 on the way at the same time, because there's another one that's due to be born within a month or so. So it's just giving professional breeder. We need to talk about this though, because there is a mental disconnect in the women that are allowing this. There's a mental disconnect in society. And I noticed not a lot of accountability has been laid upon Nick's shoulders from the quote unquote Black community that loves to talk about, fatherhood and the community and parents and all this kind of stuff. It's something that I really wish the majority of us would stop talking about, because most of us are not about that life. Let's be honest. If we were about that life, it wouldn't just be social media talking points. And this guy definitely would be called into accountability. So I'm asking the question again, Was Vivica Fox right? Let's remember what they said on that Fox Soul panel, and then I'm going to offer some more commentary about this young lady and about this whole situation. And you know I'm about to get into my grown woman thing. But before doing that, I need to introduce you to another sponsor, and then we're going to get right into it. Section.
I don't like it. I mean, you know, y'all can be like, well, he got money, this, that, and the third, but the foundation of Black families, especially a strong father figure, is needed. Mm-hmm. This isn't a good representation of it, in my opinion.
You know, I'm going to go with you on this one. I think Nick Cannon's a great guy. I think he's successful. And the same, you know, we go in on people like Future, and not to say that he's the same, but it's just at the end of the day, there are a lot of, I don't know how, with his so busy, and Nick Cannon has an empire. He has an empire. So do you have time for all these kids?
Did you see how much energy that lady had when she kept saying, he has an empire, he has an empire?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let me get into, before we get in, let me get into this real quick. Let me define what the Nick Cannon syndrome is, and I'm gonna have to trademark this because I'm gonna get paid off of this one. The Nick Cannon syndrome, basically, it's a person that is willing to participate in the continual reproduction of life with an individual who already have more than two other parents of their child. Basically, have a child with someone who has children by multiple people. That is the Nick Cannon syndrome. I would think that right now this syndrome is one of the most contagious syndrome in Black America today. Yes. Now, when we talk about the Nick Cannon syndrome, there are several issues that we need to discuss. And then for those of my guests that are here with me, they're going to be here with me, we can talk about whatever these three, or if there's an additional one you want to bring up, just bring it up. We're going to freestyle on this one a little bit. But one, what is the message Nick Cannon is sending by continually to populate the world with nearly a dozen women? Is this behavior responsible for a man, for a Black man? What does this do to our image? And I don't know if you guys know this, like I've said this on multiple streams, we are the most studied group of people in this country. We are more susceptible to pop culture and social media than any other group. So Nick Cannon doing this has an impact. Number two, can a person be an effective parent when they have children by multiple people? And number three, what is the benefit? What benefit is it to a woman to continue to have children with a man who has children by multiple women? How do our women benefit from that? What do you think, Flo?
You know what? They say God bless the tree that can bear fruits. So if he allowed Nick Cannon to bear all these fruit, God bless him. But the irresponsibleness of it all, you know, is when a man have multiple of baby mamas, these kids are spread out, versus when a woman have multiples of baby daddy, most of the time the kids are kept together. So as a father, he can't be in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 places at once without draining himself half to death. So I guess if he make his bed, he's gonna have to lay in it. And money don't always save you. Money can only provide things. You know, it ain't gonna make up for when you can't be at this birthday party because you got 2 kids around the same time. And however you know, maybe Nick Cannon can bring them all together. He's charming, he's funny, and I guess that's why women fall for him, you know.
But are we giving this dude a pass because he's out here?
Not at all, you know, not at all. I think he should be held responsible. But at the same time, if Nick Cannon can afford to take care of these kids, that's all that's going to matter.
No,
you know?
it's more than about afford. Hold on, let me get to our guest.
Okay.
Hey, Hezekiah, Miss Philly, how you doing? Hezekiah, I saw you in the virtual weight room kind of going off. What do you got to say?
Because it's like the only reason they're bringing it to the forefront is because Nick Cannon is famous. Do you know how many black men out here actually have that amount of kids? Like my
Yes.
brother, he has 7, and he got them all together when it was time to holidays and Christmas.
7 by how many different women?
2. And I mean, and it's like it's a lot of Bob Eddie Murphy. He has over 10. Just because they have theirs by one woman and Nick has his by multiples of women, I mean, it doesn't make each situation right or wrong. But in the Bible, Solomon did have how many wives? So do you know how many?
What did you say?
At that time?
What did you say Solomon had? What
How
did you
many?
say? How many? He had what?
Solomon had many wives
Wives.
in the Bible. Yes.
Wives. Miss Philly, go ahead and unmute for me. You're muted.
Oh, I was saying keyword.
I think, I mean, this has been going on for years. I think just because Nick Cannon is famous, but at the same time, he puts his business out there for them to criticize. Now, if he's been silent about it and going on about it in a silent way, you wouldn't hear nothing about it. But it's like he's seeking attention somehow. And that's his way of seeking attention from the world. Like, hey, I'm Nick Cannon. I'm still here. So I'm going to have these kids by these different women. I don't even think it's about having kids. I think it's all about him getting attention.
So,
I saw like an interview recently where he was on a TV show, and it was this multi-millionaire, the lady that's on Shark Tank. They are close friends, and she was reading back some cars or whatever, sharing, stuff that he shared with her. And a lot of it steers from he's in a point where he's really trying to fill a void. That's what I think it is. He's trying to fill a void, and having multiple children by several different women. I mean, it's not really helping, but I mean, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to fill that void or that insecure point from somewhere that he didn't have in life. And he did say that.
We can have reasons for everything, but these reasons sound like excuses. And I've gotten to the point of my life where excuses are just not there for me no more. I mean, the lady here at the end of the video was talking about, he got an empire. He got this and he got what the.
Yeah.
Let me say something real quick about finances and money. Money is a tool. It ain't no different than a screwdriver or a hammer.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we need resources to take. Yes, these children will be financially taken care of.
But
you know what I mean? If they'll be financially taken care of. That is not what's in question. But what's in question for me is more than just a Nick Cannon. It's one, what he represents, because Nick Cannon is supposed to be the most pro-black dude out here on the planet, but yet none of these women he married, I think it's only one of them are actually black women. How can you claim to be pro-black and you ain't married to a black man or a black woman? What are you pro-black about? And then what's more insidious to me is the fact of the matter is we use I use over here blackdemographics.com a lot to talk about black people's statistical numbers. And we've had the show where we talked about the statistical numbers, but really roughly 18 to 20% of all black men make 80% of the babies. So this Nick Cannon syndrome is an epidemic in our community, and it's been an epidemic. And our women are the first ones to talk about that. I'm not sharing no man. Newsflash.
Right.
Newsflash. If you share a father with 3-4 other women, guess what?
You sharing?
You are sharing a man.
Everybody's sharing, if you ask me.
I don't know about all that.
Everybody's sharing. Because you find multiples of men with multiples of baby mama, just like how you find multiple of women with multiples of baby daddies. So everybody's sharing everybody.
Here's the thing: everybody's not. According to our numbers, that's not the case. It's the smallest number of our populace of men that are actually siring all of these children. Mr. Frederick, you over there?
I'm laughing because only thing I'm gonna say this, man, because the question you asked earlier, saying does Nick Cannon get a pass? Hell no, I don't get a pass. Neither would any black man that's doing this, or any man that's doing this type of thing, because it boils down for me to two words: sexual irresponsibility. Why you gonna sit down and lay down with all these women, and you having babies by these women, dude? That's you being sexually irresponsible, man. And on top of that, the women that you land with are just as complicit. So. No, that's accountability on both sides.
Both sides, yes. He didn't just take it. They consensuously lay with him. And is it his fault that he can get it like that? If they allow it? I can't, I don't know how to view this one because I can't blame.
The onus is on both of them.
Yes. You can't make Nick Cannon look that bad because I'm pretty much sure they laying down with him. It's consent. He ain't doing nothing where you ain't hearing him raping nobody. So it's got to be consent.
Yeah, we got to be careful.
On both ends.
Flo, we got to be careful with.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's very irresponsible because all of these kids are just out here gonna be yearning for a daddy when he's not gonna be there for the most part. So it's very irresponsible. But
Miss Diamond.
I was talking to someone prior to us coming on the air about this same subject, and I'm gonna be honest, I came down hard on Nick Cannon, but as we were talking, I was doing my own little math here, and before anybody said anything, I just want us to think about this. You have Nick Cannon, you have a sperm donor. He has multiple kids. That sperm donor will have multiple kids out there as well. There's multiple women with Nick Cannon, but with a sperm donor, there's multiple women too.
Yes.
He knows his kids.
Yes.
Sperm donor does not know those kids.
Yes.
Nick Cannon takes care of those kids. That sperm donor does not. Nick Cannon knows his mental health. He knows his DNA. He knows the history of his family. They don't know any of that from the sperm donor. So you start looking at it and you're saying it's wrong. He's with those women is by choice. And we're saying that it's the African American that has most of these kids and whatnot. But a lot of the sperm donors are not African American. People are going to pick out, I want blue eyes, I want green this, I want strong body genes and all that other stuff. I want them to have this GPA and all that other stuff. So how are we still coming down? Now, to me, that's not my flavor. But how are we just coming down on Nick Cannon because he's in the public? Well, somebody that's their sperm donor is probably in the public too. We just don't know who they are.
I love you, Miss Diamond.
Just saying because it's Nick Cannon.
But see,
you have to look at it on both sides.
The donor situation.
Both ways, though. You can't just keep saying it because it's in the public eye. He knows those women are. Those women know who he is. Yes. But if I was somebody who wanted to get pregnant or have a baby and went to a sperm bank, I didn't know anything about this person. My friend can go do the same thing, have a baby by a sperm donor. It could be the same person, the same sperm. You cannot keep coming down. I don't understand how.
I don't understand. I don't understand how. I don't understand how you relate the two, because the donor situation isn't something that's out here being reckless, because the woman has to choose to want to become a parent or whatever the fertility issues are. It's not just about Nick. It's how. Please explain to me how. Because
these women that have babies with Nick Cannon choose to have babies with him. You know,
Exactly.
that's what they want. It's not something that he's forcing. They choose to have. Some women would just look at the Cannon
because
he is teacher, see he got money, and just want to have kids with him. Ain't no different.
No, because like I said, it's not much labor for it.
Ain't none of them wearing no protection. So they choosing. They choosing. They choosing this. They have choices. If they don't want to get pregnant, they can wear protection.
He's nice looking. He's rich. They gonna they see those things, and they gonna go after those things. They don't care how many baby mama he has. They just want to have a baby with him to secure them.
They don't know what they're doing.
They ain't worrying about the next baby mama. That's not their issue.
You know exactly
that's
what you just can't keep blaming it on him. It's just
it's all of them. It takes two people to lay down. It takes two people to have a baby
that can bear fruits, and he can bear them. That's what it is. I can't knock them because that's their choice. That's what they wanted. They can.
They just nasty.
Yeah, it is. They
who got more than one child by him. So he's been with this one woman more than once. She got more than one child.
Mariah Carey have what? How much with him?
She ain't got nothing but the twins. That's all she got is the twins.
Okay. All right, ladies, listen to this. Okay, great. My issue is my issue is bigger picture, because we stated that Nick, yes, these ladies are volunteering for it. They're not in the dark about what's going on with him or what he's with, but bring it away from Nick Cannon lives in a world that the rest of us will never ever understand. Most of us will never have resources on that level. But the behavior, the syndrome, is very detrimental because to our populace, we have too many of our women who are having children with men who have children by other women, and then they're being left alone to raise these children by themselves. And I think it's somewhere around 30% of our women are on public assistance because they don't have the financial security to take care of these children by themselves. That becomes a TJ problem. Why am I taking care of kids that I ain't had no part in making? How does that affect our public image? And then our women sit around here crying about the quality of man, but you choose to reproduce with not necessarily the most quality of men. Make that make sense for me.
You said that these women are having children, and then they wind up on public assistance, and the state is taking care of them. You also have women who are having children, and they're not taking care of them, and they're in foster care, and other people are taking care of them, and the state is taking care of them. There's so much back and forth with the whole thing, so you can't just look at it at one aspect. So, okay, I understand that TCA is being paid out to those women who cannot afford to take care of them. But then you got this other aspect where they're in care and the state is paying, and the state is paying much more than what anybody would ever get from TCA to those who have children in foster care. So when you're starting to dig up one thing, you got to dig up the whole thing when you start bringing in things like that. So people got to be mindful when they're picking and choosing certain subjects to talk about certain things. They have to do their homework with the whole thing, because you can't just single one
broad scale. This is on a broad scale. It can go either way. It's so broad.
But one of the things that we've done over here time and time again, Ms. Diamond, is ask the question for our women: what is your outcome? What do you want?
It depends on each individual.
It does not depend on each individual because we're not producing.
So
our women are not producing the outcomes that they want with the behaviors that they're taking. They're not.
No.
You're breaking up, so I hear every other word that you're saying. But I think you're saying something about, you was mentioning something about the outcomes and whatnot, and what do they want the outcome to be? Look, I'm gonna talk about myself. Mm-hmm. I know my outcome was not to be raising other people's children. I wasn't even thinking of that coming out of high school. But here I am giving birth to 3 children, but raising 12. It happened. I'm just going to step in and do what I got to do. I'm not going to sit and complain along the way because that's going to get me absolutely nowhere. Instead of me complaining, I'm going to help. And I'm one person that can try to help. But if instead of me sitting around complaining all the time, I'm going to try to do what I can do to be able to be supportive and to help and to try to give them some type of education.
Circumstances are different.
What does that mean? Circumstances are different. Well, we got
because we have different circumstances. You know, everything don't apply to everybody. You know, that's how
no, yes. When you look at things on an individual level, things are a lot bigger than the individual level. Our women are out here complaining that there are not enough good available men, which is a lie. They're complaining about the fact there's not enough of good available eligible men out here because of their personal history with the fellas that they have selected. I made this statement, I think, to you, Flo, offline. The vast majority of our women can't see the vast majority of black men because they're not attracted to them. And when they speak about men and the men that are failing, they're speaking about the men that they are attracted to and that they produce children with. We live in a world today where our women have the luxury to do that. You didn't have that luxury 60 years ago. You had to produce. You had to pick a producing man. You had to. Whether he was short, fat, tall, good looking or not. If you guys got family albums, go back to your family albums, 2 generations and look at your great-grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers with their mothers. Beautiful women, I said this before, with not necessarily the most attractive men. But those men are producers, actual protectors, structure makers, meaning they bring structure into the homes.
I guess that was then. This is now.
Well, and
we
yes,
can't live in the past. We live for now. We live right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
Can't change it. You got to get out how you live. You can't worry about what my granny did.
Why not?
This is me. This is our time. Generations is because we got different generations. Times change and things change with it. Living in the past ain't gonna do nothing for us. You got to move on.
Well, they have better outcomes than we do. What?
It is what it is. Who's to say?
People settle for different things back then too. I mean, you think about a lot of the
women was getting. They was getting the same treatment, but they had to remember, women was
quiet.
Meant to be
they had to be quiet.
They had to be shut up, like how men want us now. But because it's not going that route, we got a problem.
Men today don't want you to shut up. We don't want you to shut up.
They want to see you, but they really don't want to hear you.
Men today don't want you to shut up. If you got a man surrounding you that's his attitude, that's not a productive, character-driven guy.
Well, there's a lot of their attitudes. So
how do you figure?
It's a lot of
like I said. Go ahead, Mr. Frederick.
Most dudes that I know ain't like that. They don't. The dudes that I hang around, they're definitely not like that. Why would I want to tell women to be quiet and shut up and all this other stuff?
Everybody not like you.
But I'm saying,
everybody not you. And I get what you saying, but all these men are not you. A lot of women would love to have a man like you, but a lot of these men are not you.
But do you know how a lot of your homeboys do things in front of you that they won't do it? They do stuff behind your back that you don't think they'll do. That's how come half the time you be hearing like, man, Johnny shot or did something to such and such. I can't believe he did that. A lot of times your homeboy ain't gonna let you know what he really done.
Miss Angela.
Right. Put on the front end.
In this day and age, I absolutely reject the notion that women, if they, I don't know Mr. Frederick, but if he's a decent productive, character-driven man, that most women want those men.
He got a good job. He respectable. He ain't got babies everywhere. And that's what you say women want?
No, you saying that most women want a productive, character-driven man, and I'm telling you that's not.
He got a good job. He can hold down a household. He can bring you into that's what he do.
I'm saying, and I'm telling you that our women now today do not want that, and I can say that based on what our women select to procreate with.
That's what.
But
Everybody, not everybody. I ain't that person. I'm not that. I'm not that person that you talking about. I know more people that are not that person that you talking about. So how do I'm still trying to figure out these statistics because the statistics is kind of off to me personally. I think they not a representation of some of us. And we may be low in numbers, but it's enough of us.
And statistics created by who? The same people who takes the time to invest so much into knowing who is. So you think everything
they say sample. That's what they use.
Just as quick as they take it enough time to analyze us, they assassinating our characters in the meantime and between time. That stuff ain't legit like you think.
There's
well, we're doing a good job of that ourselves.
We got so much common law marriage. Everybody
there's no such thing.
Ain't no such thing as that.
To anybody, there's no such thing.
Yeah, they don't have that no more.
Oh, you got people that still live together and coincide without having that piece of paper because the white man said we got to be married. We got to be. I just don't understand that. Why? Because they say so.
Marriage historically was a religious ceremony. It was between you two and God. That's what it was really historically. But then, when the state realized like they can make money off of it, then they started having to license it. But the fact of the matter is, when this notion that the vast majority of black men are these reckless demons that how they're being depicted is just not. It's not true. And here's what I always tell people this. The world looks at your men through the eyes of your women. If our women view black men as these irresponsible, reckless, non-productive women being, serial cheating men, how do you think the world's gonna look at us? And regardless if you want to believe the numbers or not, you got to believe something.
My thing with that is women, we can only do so much because I've personally had this issue. You can only see so much potential in another person. They have to see it in themselves. You can only build other people up so much. They have to want
to build no man.
Themselves. So, you can give a man all the praises and whatever, even if he's not taking care of his responsibilities or whatever, you can you can still try to uplift, give a positive word or whatever. But if he's still not coming through, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Not have his baby and send him down the road.
He can tear me down. It's okay for him to tear me down while I'm building him up.
Don't have his baby and send his butt down the road. That's what you do.
So what?
Deceit is a powerful word. A lot of the time,
I did not say deceit is not a part of it. At the beginning of the stream, when I talked about the young lady that I think is a fantastic girl, he was promised something. But just because I said this on the last stream, and I said it to Hezekiah, you don't have to give anything to a man that's unproven. If I tell Flo, I want you to have my babies and I'll marry you when you give me some babies, your job to me, Flo, is to say, you want some babies from me? Then you make me a wife and you put me in a house where I can, if you act up, I can physically extract the primary resources out of you to take care of these children that you're going to be left behind. Your job isn't to then just go believe what I say and then do your part first. I am a strong advocate that men should do the things that they're supposed to do, and it's your responsibility as the purveyors of life. You decide who gets born in this country. You decide who gets
vice
born.
versa, and vice
No,
versa.
ain't no
When a
vice
man-
versa. You
Yes,
decide.
it is. When a man choose a woman that he didn't take time to cultivate, that's his problem. That ain't my problem because you want to change me to be who you want me to be. I am who I am. Now, if you took time and pay attention to who I am, you would have saved yourself the drama down the line. I won't have to do nothing. You,
Mr.
the man,
Frederick.
have to choose. At the
Mr.
end of the day, you didn't choose right, but you want to blame me because I'm not who you want me to be.
Hold on, Flo. Miss Philly, hold on. Mr. Frederick.
I'm sorry, Flo, but that is still a dual responsibility and a dual consequence. You can't just put the onus on a gentleman because if you engage in that type of behavior in that person, then you're just as complicit. I don't get why people are not looking at complicity in this, because it takes two people to tango.
But that's why I
you
said
can't dance for by yourself.
Hold on, Flo.
You gotta have somebody else to dance with you. So, but you can't have two people that's on the dance floor. You gotta have two people to be on the dance floor. You cannot dance by yourself. That is unless you the greatest dancer in the world. But practically speaking, you need two people to dance on the dance floor. And if you can't throw the onus on one individual, because it goes back to the choices that you both made and what you both accepted. Now, whatever the consequences of those choices, you have to accept those consequences when they're indifferent. But I hate to do that because I hate getting the conversations where it's always blaming this and blaming that. But it's when it took two people to do that.
No, I'm not blaming. I'm just telling him it's vice versa to what he was saying. He's saying women should do this. It's vice versa. If a man go choose me, please take the time to analyze who I am so you make the right decision. I shouldn't have to change who I am to please you.
I said nothing about no change. I said
no, but when you're telling me that we are choosing men choose women too. We are
men
choosing
supposed to do the choosing.
If that's the case, if the man is choosing, well, Philly, I want you to fly up here tomorrow. Then I want you to move in. I got a house to be taken care of. I'm choosing you. Come on.
I said they supposed to be doing the choosing.
Okay.
Exactly. We
That's
not
what I thought.
supposed to choose.
That's exactly. I just chose
But
Philly.
that's right. So when you choose a woman and you have problems with her, that was your choice.
We're talking about Flo. We're talking about our ladies procreating and giving babies to men who should never give men babies to. And it changes your attitude, it changes your behavior, it changes your outlook, it puts undue burden and pressures on you, it affects your health physically, mentally. It does all of that when you pick the wrong guy to give children to. Now, can you sit up there and predict that you're going to have a perfect outcome with the guy? No. Life is a risk. But the one thing you can do is minimize the risk. And one of those is, if I'm coming to you and I say to you, Miss Angela, I want us to have some babies. Miss Angela then turns to me and says, fine, Mr. TJ, I want to have your babies, but you better make me a wife. You got to make me a wife before I pop out a child of yours. If she goes along with my plan, what's the incentive for me to marry her after that or to do anything?
I know husbands will beat their wives to a post.
We can't
ain't all that it cracks up to be.
The vast majority of black men are not beating up their wives. I'm tired of that narrative. I'm tired of that narrative that the vast majority of black men out here are these vicious, violent, amoral dudes. Yes, we got men that are not doing good things. Absolutely. But that's not the vast majority of us. That is not the vast majority of us out here. But through the eyes of our women is how we are seen. We're seen violently because our women see us violently. Huh? I'm sorry.
My thing, like Mr. Frederick was saying, it's the responsibility. It starts in the bedroom. We all are adults. We know when that act is going on, men can say whatever. Also, women can say whatever. So It's a responsibility for both parties.
Exactly.
In the bedroom.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All those emotions and feelings. Oh, I want you to have my baby. Y'all done heard it before.
And I guarantee you, if a man don't want you pregnant, you won't be pregnant because he
Right,
runs that
exactly.
flow.
It's
They
right.
run that flow.
It's
If you don't want that woman
contraceptions
pregnant,
out
you
there.
better be responsible. You better pull out or do something because we don't get ourselves pregnant. You do. So don't blame me when babies pop up.
You got just as much responsibility into that. I mean, it can't get you pregnant if you don't give it to him. Full stop.
Right,
full stop.
You see it so backwards to me.
It's
we
not
do what
backwards,
we do.
Flo.
It is.
A man
If
can't get you pregnant that don't think that you're gonna lay down with.
Is solely on a man. If a man don't want you pregnant, I guarantee you won't be. He running to that.
It depends on the man. If you have one of those aggressive men, like we said, it depends on the person, the situation. If you have a situation where it's like you're being forced or going to be attacked, beaten, or whatever, I mean, that situation is kind of different. But
even though those things happen, it happens at such a small rate that it's almost at times not a factor in our conversation about why we got 73% of our women without being single mothers and heading homes.
I just got a question.
Yeah.
You
Go ahead,
mentioned
Ms. Diamond.
earlier that a man may say to a woman, "I'll marry you if you give me some babies." What would have him say to her, "I'll marry you if you give me some babies"? Is it that he knows that this woman wants to be married? So if he's going to tell her that I'll marry you, you give me some babies. Okay, she give him the babies, whether he marries her or whether he don't. If he does marry her, then that's great that she fulfilled her part where she gave him the babies, she's married, but she may not have wanted those babies. So then he's stuck with those babies and she's off doing whatever she wants to do. She's married now. She got what she wanted out of that. He's being selfish because they're both getting what they think that they want, but it's not fair to the child of coming into a relationship because you're marrying her because you want babies. She's giving you babies because she wants to be married. But
so what do we
both want to have babies?
So what do we do?
And it's great if both of you want to be a father and a mother, but you're not a parent though when that happens.
Right.
Absolutely. I do not disagree with that at all. But what do we do? I've said this multiple times. We do not have the best outcomes as a group. We're the only group out here having these conversations because we don't have the best outcomes.
The best thing to do is have a conversation with the person instead of putting it on a me, or you. It's an our thing. Do just what this is about. Have the conversation.
Absolutely.
Have the conversation to see where their headspace is before you start thinking that I will do this for you if you do this. That's a bargaining that you're doing in that relationship.
Listen, everything is a bargain, don't you think? Isn't a relationship a number one big continuous negotiation?
I'm sorry, say it again.
One continuous negotiation.
No,
it's just another business. It's just another business.
A relationship is love. This is not a negotiation because it's
It's just a business.
When you start talking about negotiation, you're talking about a business. And if you're saying it's a relationship,
that's what they treat it like.
The wrong business.
You don't think relationships are transactional?
Yeah.
Not in that sense.
Like Angie said, it's a business. I mean, in a sense, it is. Like, I mean, give and take.
If it's a business, then I want to get paid for my services.
Compromise.
You do.
From my husband, then what is that? That's called something totally different when he's going to pay me for my services in the bedroom. So I wouldn't want to classify because that's a hurtful thing to some women.
Yes.
To say that it is a business.
No,
because that's not.
And that's how they think now.
I do not raise my hand and you're going to grow up and you're going to get involved. You're going to get involved with a man, but it's a business. I'm not telling this love. I'm not telling this relationship. I'm telling my son that you're going to go ahead and marry that woman or get involved with her, but it's a business. And I'm going to tell my daughter the same thing. It's a business.
No, it's not.
I want to get to this.
All the foundations that come along with it. Because right now, I can go ask my mother, who's 97, when you got married back then, wasn't a business?
No, it's about survival. No. I want to get to Miss Lucas.
You said you told Miss Flo, let's go back. Yeah, it's okay to go back. So why not go back for that?
Yeah. I love you, Miss
Diamond.
Diamond. I love Miss Diamond so much.
Hold on.
I love Miss Diamond. You hear what I love Miss Diamond. Miss Diamond
cannot do that.
Miss Diamond.
For me, I got the best of both of those worlds because, again, my mother's 97. She's old enough to be my grandmother, but I go to her for a lot of wisdom and a lot of these topics that we talk about. Before I come on, I go there.
I understand.
Find out. And so I would never tell her that you married my father because it was a business. I couldn't say that.
Miss Diamond.
That was a business, or was it a business arrangement? That's the shots and weddings are. That's a business.
Yep. So Miss Diamond, I said last week. Miss Diamond, I said last week. I said we're not going back. I said that last week. That I'm fully aware that we're not going back to your mother's generation of how things are done. And I've said it multiple times that we need a new deal. We need a new deal between black men and black
foundation, so we can understand where we're at, and we don't know where we came from.
I completely agree.
To go back somewhere along the line, because we need to understand. Because a lot of our young children, our young girls, are not getting it, and they're not understanding. I can bring them to a certain point, but my mom or my older sister can bring them to that point. Then it goes back to bring them that, so we can get a better understanding, so we can have a better foundation.
Yeah, Miss Lucas, I finally want to get you in.
Let me tell you, today, 2022, it's a business. You know why it's a business? Because a lot of women don't want to work. So they're going to get somebody who's going to take care of them.
Come on now.
And they say, whether they're a football player or a basketball player, somebody got some money. It's a business. They don't want to get married. They don't care if he got 50 or 20,000 girlfriends and women. They don't care about that because they don't want to work. They're going to get somebody who can take care of them. Go ahead and give me that baby because I know my bill's going to get paid. My rent going to get paid. I'm going to have a car. I'm going to have a house. I get to travel. I get to do all this because when you pay me that child support money, hey, I'm set. I don't have to work. Everything. It is a business. I don't care if we like the word or not, but today, it's a business. And a lot of these young women, they tell you, I don't want to get married. And they don't. They don't want to get married, but they go find somebody who got some money.
So I heard this conversation. I think it was on one of these talk shows that I was listening to, and they were talking about this guy. He makes I want to say he makes 6 figures. He has his own house. It's paid for, whatever the case may be. He don't have no student loans, but he's dating a girl. She has over $200,000 in student loans already, and when she finished school, she's only going to be making $75,000. And this man said that he don't want to marry her. He love her, but he don't want to marry her because she in debt. And he's set, and he don't have to worry about that. But he love her. So back to what you say, it's a business. It's a business nowadays for a lot of people. It's a business. People don't love that. A lot of people don't even know what that word love means. The LOVE. They don't know what that word means no more.
And for
because
the
we was having this conversation before we came on here, and we was talking about all this material stuff. People buying all these butts, these hips, these things, thinking that this is what's gonna keep a man. This is what a man wants. When a lot of these men don't even want that.
No, we don't.
Because I don't heard somebody say that ain't what I want.
That ain't what I want.
That's not what I want.
That's what
we started this conversation,
but we don't know what love is.
We started
because we don't see it.
And him having these babies and everything, and now we started into the marriages and everything. Look at some of Black Hollywood that's been married for so many years. Do you think that was a business back then for them?
No.
And they're still married to those same people?
No, because
but they're modeling after a lot of them.
The goals were different. The purpose was different than what we got now. And then here's the thing. I'm not trying to be inflammatory, but a decent enough, hardworking, character-driven. And just because a man is character-driven, that doesn't mean he's not going to have flaws or not going to do something to mess up. Character-driven means that he will do right by you and correct the things he needs to correct and try to lead appropriately. But you have to understand today, a lot of these so-called productive character-driven men do not believe that there are enough marriageable women for themselves. Meaning they can go out and get a wife and start their own family. With 73% of our women are baby mamas, our men got to choose from nothing but that. And then when you add on to the fact that our women are making decisions to go out and have babies with men who are of oftentimes lesser character of that man, and then he has to come in now to have to deal with the fact that this woman has kids by either several different men, or she's had a kid by a man with several different. We've gotten kind of murky the things up. So how we interact with each other is vastly different. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about, especially when we talk about, what is out here versus what's not out here. A lot of times and this is a personal belief. A lot of times when I see our women talking about the kind and caliber of men that is out here or that they have experienced, and they feel like there is not anything in there that the substantive men are rare. Those are women that I know or that I believe are not looking around them. They're not looking around them. Being a substantive man is not a rarity. I don't know many of the kind of guys that our women are having kids by. Most of the guys that I know are productive, driven character men. Are they flawed? But it doesn't mean we're all flawed. I think there are a lot of brothers out here that can be worked with, but because our women have such a very, their view of how they judge a man and how they select a man is very different. So
I know my marriage is not a business. I love my husband. Okay. But I'm telling you, when you talk to some of these young women, they'll tell you in a minute, if he don't got no money, I don't want him.
And then ask her who her baby daddy is and if he got any money. I'm just saying.
There's so many walls and guards built there, don't want to be hurt.
They talk about, you got these women out here who, after they have produced with the worst of our men, they find or decide, oh, wait a minute, he is a quality guy over here that I've been knowing for 30 years. But then you want him to come in and do what? What's up, Miss Angela? To do what?
I'm just over here just shaking my head because I can't grasp a lot of the stuff that y'all saying and I don't.
And here's the thing that I think as the productive black men, because about a month ago I said our men are gonna have to come in and do this work. One of the things that we have to do as men is understand one important thing: our women don't see it that way. That's not been their experience. And so I've talked a lot about grace and mercy. This is the grace and mercy that we have to extend to our women. The fact that they don't, that the kind of men that I'm talking about, they're out here, but we have to understand that our women don't understand that and can't wrap their head around that because that's not what they've seen and that's not what they've experienced.
Not everybody. I mean, y'all keep saying that, but not all of us see that. I mean, some of us see that there are good men out here. I mean, we see that, and Phil saying, we try to encourage them, we try to lift them. I'm just going to speak to myself. I think I got a pretty saying. He came in there, he don't have babies everywhere. he got one child, and she's off in college now. She's off in college now. He don't have babies everywhere.
These conversations.
I just don't. I mean, I don't see. I don't deal with. I don't know. We have choices, and we can choose who we deal with. I'm saying you can choose to walk away from this. You can you settle for this. These are things that you settle for because you can choose not to.
Yes.
Because I've been down that road, and I said I'm not settling for this. I'm not going through that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not, and I didn't.
Which is
you
acceptable.
have to make up in your mind that this is what you want and this is how you want stuff.
That's
an individual person's that is an individual thing. And it ain't gonna ever, statistics ain't gonna ever be right until individuals deal with them individually.
And here's the thing about, here's the thing, Angela, I agree with you. But the thing that we have to do is from the man perspective is we have to have these harsh conversations. 1, 2, which we'll get to when we start dealing with the men's side of things, which I'll be pushing. Our men got to stop lying to y'all. What I mean by that is our men are what I mean by lying, meaning not telling you the truth about how we feel about stuff, how we view things, and not be afraid when you are out of line to tell you are out of line. And if that means
y'all lie,
we lie.
Why do y'all lie?
Because we don't want to deal with the hell that comes with y'all.
So why don't y'all want to deal with? We deal with y'all, and we deal with the hell that come with y'all. So why do y'all not want to deal with us? Why we can't deal with each other?
Right. I just don't agree that you have to lie.
Because we're wired differently, and our women need to accept that there's just certain things about us that are uniquely male that you can't change. I know it's frustrating. But a lot of times, like our men.
Okay, I'm hearing you in what you saying right now. What you saying right now? If we got to accept and deal with that, then why can't y'all accept and deal with us?
I'm not saying for you to accept and deal with us. I just said our men got to stop lying and stop being cowardly. And
so now you see why women see things the way, because all the time they are very deceitful. So we don't know how they come so deceitful, but by the time you pinpoint it all, you caught up.
You're thinking of deceit as in somebody
lying. Lying is a form of deceit. You know,
you're thinking of it in terms of somebody trying to do something. When I'm telling you about that we're lying to you, that I'm talking about we're not being forthcoming about how we view things. We're not being forthcoming about what we want. We're not being forthcoming. We're not being sturdy enough men to provide correction.
So y'all don't. Why y'all do that?
Deceitful and
well, what's the issue? Why do y'all do that?
And expect good results. That's what
you want to know why we do. Most of us.
Yeah, please tell me why y'all do that.
There's multiple reasons, but the primary reason I just told you. Men just don't want to deal with it.
They're scared to get their feelings hurt. That's what it is. They can't handle it. I think feelings hurt. They look at it in a totally different way. Like, why do you have to say that? Why do you have to feel that way? Why do you have to do that?
Let me break this down for y'all.
Go ahead, Mr. Frederick.
Please, I want to hear.
Yeah, I want to hear this one.
Let me break.
Yeah, me too.
Let me break this down for y'all. So everybody can understand what this is. I get what my man's saying, but to add to that, and to be this is just to be put myself completely out there. Most men, and I'm not gonna say most. I'm not even gonna say some. Just put it from my personal perspective. When it comes to me, I won't say anything because number one, it may come out incorrectly. Number two, if I express my emotions to you or express my feelings, I'm afraid that you're gonna weaponize that and use that against me. And that's nothing. And my thought process isn't toward any woman. It's just my experience. The other thing is this. Okay, laugh. That's funny, but it's not funny. That's my experience, though. That's my experience. I can only speak for me. I can't speak for everybody else. If you,
Miss
I'll stop right there.
Miss Angela, one of the things that we have to get to, Miss Angela, is, and this is not just from a woman to the man, but a man for the woman. We have to accept that our experiences with the opposite sex are valid. Most of our women will, they to piggyback on what he was saying, will dismiss our experiences with our women. Our experiences, a lot of black men's experiences with the women, they're not that great. Just like we've heard over the course of a millennia about how black women's experiences with black men are not that great. You know, just the whole notion that when women talk about being in cooperation with a man, they talk about how I allow my man to be the head of the house. You can't allow me to do nothing. That's conflict right there. The fact that you think you can allow something that's supposed to be God-given for me. And so there's conflict in the beginning. We have to do the thing with each other that we give other people, which is a lot of grace and mercy. Now,
so tell me how this is supposed to go. Please tell me how this is supposed to go. Because I think I'm doing something wrong. Please tell me how this is supposed to go.
We have to extend each other grace and mercy, Miss Angela.
So what am I supposed to be doing as a woman that wants a husband? What am I supposed to be doing? Because all, you know, a lot of women, me and my friends, we want a husband.
You want a husband,
and we don't want to be arguing with him. We don't want to be disrespectful with him. We want to treat him like a king. Because I'm a queen and I want to treat him like a king. You know, so what please tell me, enlighten me, okay. Because evidently I'm in the dark. I need to be in the light. Bring me to the light, please, Caroline.
First of all, when you meet a guy and you see that it's getting serious, you got to tell him up front what your intentions are. A lot of our women won't do that. They'll just assume we should know what you want. So you're dating a guy, you're 3 months in and it's getting serious. And if you want to be married, you got to tell him that moment. And you got to give him a time frame in which you want to be married.
So I'm just going to throw this out here. Most people, and this me. Now, if I'm going to take the time to get into a relationship, then I'm thinking and hoping that it's going to go further. That it's going to develop into something. That's why we get into these relationships, because we're hoping that it's going to go further. That's what we do. I don't go into a relationship going in saying that I'm going to play with this dude. I'm about to go have this dude. I'm about to have this dude, and I'm about to have his baby. And nah. We go into it thinking that it's going to develop into something long term.
And I just said you got to be intentional. When you know this is getting serious and you want something long term with him, you cannot just have the expectation that we're going to know because you're in a relationship with us. But
it should be a given. If you taking time.
But it's not a given. Men are creatures of habit.
That's not a given.
It's not a given. Here's what I mean. We're creatures of habit. If we're dating and we've been dating, so
you're just gonna take time you're gonna spend your money, take your time, your effort, and just be pouring into somebody just because you want to lay up with them. That's what you're telling me.
Basically.
You just want to lay up with them. You just want to take somebody out to eat. You just want to just have company because you don't want to be alone, but you don't want that long term. That's what y'all saying.
Yes. And when I talk to you,
that ain't what I'm saying.
What do you expect?
When I talk to you about,
I ain't. That's not why most of us date. And most of us date because we're looking for somebody that we want to settle down with. We want that we want forever.
And I keep saying to you, You got to be intentional. The moment you know that you want to be serious is the moment you got to tell him. A lot of our ladies just assume that our thought process, our trajectory plan is the same as yours. We're not wired that way.
I'm not playing games. I'm looking for a mate.
Yes. Well, then you got to tell him that.
I'm looking for a mate, y'all. I'm not looking for no friendship. I'm not looking for I'm looking for a mate.
You got to tell him that. And here's the thing, you got to tell them that. And a lot of times, a lot of our women are getting themselves in trouble because you guys just assume we should just know.
But see, we go back to when it comes to Nick Cannon.
Y'all going back to old days. People dated because they wanted to get married. That's what y'all courted for. You courted somebody because you wanted to marry them. And that's what y'all used to call it back in the day. Court.
Yeah.
You courted because you wanted to get married.
Courting. Yeah,
and if we go back to Nick Cannon and the women, they knew what their intentions were. They were not going to get married. Yes. They were just going to have a baby together and have fun. That's what their intentions were.
And Angela,
and guess what? He was already on an interview saying he wants to have 12 children. So now he had number 10.
He wants
two more. His mind, he want to have 2 more.
And everybody knows because everybody's up front. And Angela, I tell any woman, if your end goal for a guy is to marry, you got to say that up front. Let me tell you something. It weeds guys out. It'll weed them out. Don't worry about it. Tell them what your intentions are. I tell any woman, I say, if your goal is to get married, tell me that.
Angela want to get married.
You got to tell him that. And if that guy, and then if he goes through then you got to tell him that up front. So when he's going through that process with you, and if you get a year, 15, 16 months in, and you don't see no horizons of a conversation from this brother about making you got 2 options. You got 2 options. Remind him or bounce.
Bounce.
Because you already told them.
Got to remind nobody, they know.
I'm a big fan of, when I was working, when I was interested in climbing the corporate ladder, I used to get all of these, I got these degrees, certifications, all this stuff, because I wanted to take away the answer no. So when you are intentional about something, I don't care if it's a man or whatever, when you are intentional, you are doing things because you want to take away the answer no.
I mean, and for me, intentions are good to tell someone's thought processes. If you know they don't have the best of intentions for you, you already know where their thought process is about to go. So you can easily just jettison that dead weight and move on and move around or do whatever you do. You have not only just being intentional, but you also be able to earn intentions too.
Yep. And along the topic, if you're a lady and you meet a guy with multiple kids, it doesn't mean that he might not be a valid husband. But what you have to do as a lady is be intentional. You got these other 2 women and you got 3 kids between those 2 women. I want you, I'll accept this, but what's your plan? How are you going to take care of me and this family and those responsibilities over there? He got to come to you with that. If I got children with you and we get married, I got children with you and they get sick, what are you going to do? How's this going to work? And you can't settle for, we'll work that out when it happens. No, he has to have a plan. If you don't have a guy that's got a plan and he's proven that his word means something, you don't have the luxury to marry him. You kick rocks. You're getting what you're asking for. And the one thing that I'm going to say over and over again that we need from each other, grace and mercy. No, I think she understands that part.
No.
And I know sometimes it doesn't seem like why do I got to tell him? Ain't that the purpose of dating? Yeah.
It's very naive that a man can be grown and mature and not know when he entertaining a woman.
I didn't say we didn't know.
So why do we have to tell you something that should be natural. It's something that you just know by paying attention.
Because being married is natural for you.
That's what people.
That's the excuses
you
that
growing up,
they
that's
use.
something that you teach your kid. You know, I don't get it.
You have to take responsibility.
Why
for
do you
your
date
part.
people? Like, for real.
Why
you
do you
date people because you want to end up in a marriage.
I try to keep this PG-13, so I don't want to get into all.
I'm lost.
But I'm just saying, you got to be intentional. If you got a guy who's not, you got a guy who you got to vet him. You got to vet him as best as you can, because nothing's ever guaranteed. You got to vet him as best you can. He has to be intentional. He has to have a plan, and then he has to have the receipts. I told Hezekiah last week, don't no woman have to accept anything from a man that's not been proven. I mean that.
Vice versa.
I'm talking about what our responsibility is, our role. You don't have to accept, as a woman, I'm telling you, you don't have to accept anything from a man that he hasn't proven. And if you are a lady over the age of 30, you no longer have the luxury to date a guy on potential. You need a man who's built, because you don't have the time no more.
That's what I said before. I can't speak for everybody, every woman, and that's why I've been having a problem with some of the statements of coming out, women. Just say some women, but this woman don't have time to be training no man.
Training a man.
Keep it moving.
You feel me? They want to come in correct and get everything.
They don't know whether they're going to play the trains or the trains, and I really don't have time.
Oh my God. Miss Diamond, my grandmama watched it, and she just stood up and started shouting, laughing, and agreeing with what you training a man. Really?
That's right. That's what you.
Yes.
Right?
No, you ain't got to train no man. Now, I will say this.
But
no, you
don't. It happens.
Because it
happens.
It happens.
And you really have to.
It happens.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick.
I do believe that you guys got to mold to each other. Train a man. Really, Miss Diamond?
I'm not saying that every.
It happens.
I'm just saying
you sometimes have to mold.
Really don't have time to be training a man at all. And I don't want to be bothered with. I'm going to step aside.
This is the longest stream we've done in a long time. So let me just kind of wrap this up. We'll do our 10-minute. We'll do our little 10-minute after the show. But listen, here's my thoughts. Here's my closing thoughts on this thing with the Nick Cannon syndrome. One of my goals here, and I mean, I know I can't do, I'm just one little guy here, is I want to use this platform to examine the things that are keeping us apart and examine the behaviors, not just, and I know we've been spending 3 months on our women thing, and I'm kind of stretching it out because the Queen Mother stuff is taking a little bit longer to put together, but I want us to get to the point where we can examine these things and then get to the place where maybe we can offer each other some grace and mercy. There's some things about black men and black women that are just that we're not going to be able to change or bend. They're just are. Once upon a time, black people were the largest married group in the country. We were married at a rate of 80%. And for us to sit there and say that the only reason why we were married is because we were coming through Jim Crow and segregation and we had to be together, I refuse to believe that, because that was the time where we were together at 80% clip, when our lives and safeties were at their peak risk. I refuse to believe that that's the only time we can get together is when we are in some kind of mortal danger. And if you want to look at the state of our black community, look at some of these laws that are happening, especially in the state of Illinois. Our women, I will always say, our women are the most vulnerable population because there are not any men in the home. And we're making decisions like this young lady I'm going to keep stressing, she's a phenomenal lady. I like her a lot. She's a phenomenal lady. And I just like, man, she could have, there's a brother down in the ER. He's a physician. He's 37, tall, good looking. I'm thinking, That's who them two jokers need to get together. You know what I mean? I want the best of us to get with the best of us. And our women, you know, I want to get to a point where our women can have a more discerning nature when it comes to our fellas. I would like the 18% of us that are out here doing all this mess stuff, that to reduce that number because they're making 80% of the babies and leaving them. I want to reduce that. And I'm going to put this on the productive versions of our group. No other culture out there where the productive versions of the group allow the less productive versions of the group to run amok through the culture. Almost cussed. No other group does that. Where the productive, the character-driven productive men of those groups allow the lesser men to run through the culture and just terrorize it. And they don't allow their women to just accept that and produce with that. We're the only group that do that. But I think this was a good conversation. I think it was one that was well needed. We're going to have it again probably because this is something because it's a real problem for us. And not saying that other cultures don't have this problem, but they don't have it to the degree that we do, which is a problem. So what I want us to do, I want to thank everybody because I know this is a last minute thing for everybody. Stand back for the after show. Thanks. How do y'all think that went?
Woo! It was painful.
I'm hot over here, boy. I'm not gonna lie.
I like that.
I think
they always
it
go well.
depends on how you see things and how you take things, because we can't keep on saying this is how it was. Different generations think differently. Back in the day, they got married and they stayed married a long time, knowing that the husband had 3 or 4 families, but the women didn't say anything. They kept their mouth shut and they stayed married to him for 50 and 60 years.
They
knowing
did.
That the husband had other families.
They sure did. They're not doing that now, boy, unless you're Nick Cannon.
Ain't doing it no more.
Nope.
Nope, ain't doing that no more.
Sure ain't.
That look that Angela got is just, man.
Sure ain't.
For the most part, a lot of women don't even care to be married. For some reason, this new generation is all
Well,
about.
I beg to differ on that.
Well, see, but see, in our age group, but the younger ones coming up, the younger ones, they not feeling that.
They don't want that.
They're not feeling it because they haven't seen it.
Yeah, because they don't see marriages that last for years, and they don't see people in productive relationships. All they see is
generation
baby mama over here and baby daddy over here, and everybody got different mamas and different daddies, and daddies bringing. That's all they see. So when they grow up, they just modeling what they see in their household.
Generation X was the last generation I meant to tell in the Gen X, we were the last generation to see marital relationships. We're the last generation to see it.
Yeah,
we were.
Yep.
And that's something to be said. And then I'm trying to, at least in my little corner, sound the alarm. Like my friend girl at the job, my coworker at the job. You know, there's nothing can be done by the two little precious little daughters she got that are here now. There's nothing can be done with that. So what I said to her was, listen, for some reason, if this relationship with this man with these other kids don't work, the next guy, I know this is not going to be fair to him, but the next guy that comes in, you got to make sure, because now you don't have the luxury to be just, oh, I love him and I'm gonna hope he do it. The next guy, you got to know, because he got to come in and take care of you, and he got to come in and take care of them little babies. If this thing with this fella don't work out, I said, you're already frustrated because he can't help you raise his two kids because his time, his resources are split. We can't afford, we're not Nick Cannons. The most of us are not Nick Cannons in the world.
Nah.
Not at all.
The average black man makes $21 an hour. That's it. That's about less than a little bit under $45,000 a year. That's it. We can't take care of no 3-4 kids on no 45 grand a year. The average black woman makes about 30. I think it's like 34. We're talking about $14-15 an hour. And we're looking at people who money we can't even count that high. But we're out here having children and getting involved and making decisions on basically, on just a middle class income. You can't split that amongst 3-4 houses. And if you're a lady, you shouldn't want a man's resources split amongst 3 or 4 different houses. They should be split in your house. And I tell every woman, you have every right to demand a level of resources out of your guy. And I told her that I said, you can't afford a guy who makes $40,000 a year with them 2 babies no more. You can't afford a guy like that. You need a $28, $30 an hour guy now. Which means a guy that's making that, we're talking about, $60,000 a year. So I say a guy making 60 grand a year, he's in the top 20%. He gets into that 70, 80,000. He's in the top, like we said the other day with Kevin, $80,000 a year. That's the top 15% of the men. There are I tell our black women all the time, your black man is already predisposed to be a stepfather because we've watched our mothers and our grandmothers raise us alone, or there was a different man in the house than that was our biological father or grandfather. We are predisposed to do that. So because we're predisposed to do that, find a way to work with us. I understand we haven't, as a group, we haven't always done right by you, but you got a group of men out here. These platforms that are out here right now, I mean, they're doing a lot of they're doing a lot of talk about what women ain't doing, what women ain't doing, but it's coming from a place of, I want y'all, but I need you to work with me. And I'm telling you, I said a few months ago, there is a movement out here to convince any guy under the age of 30 to not accept a black woman, that she's not worth it. And these brothers are listening to it. I got nephews in that age range. Huh?
What's that sound?
Yeah.
Well, I think our children just have to be trained. I mean, I trained mine.
Yes.
The first set of children that I had to raise was my siblings. The second set was the 3 that I birthed. And I'm not responsible for the third set. They my bonus children. But the 6 children that I was responsible for, that I raised, when they was children, look 9, 10.
Yes.
I said, do not have children out of wedlock.
Yeah.
I said, if you do, make sure you have your own money, and they listen. Okay, they very successful. The children that I birthed don't have any children. My oldest is almost 30. He don't have any children. And people say, your children don't have any children. I said, because I put that in them. I said, be responsible. You have to train her and say, respect yourself. Respect yourself enough to not just throw yourself out there and just let everybody have you. Respect yourself. Know who you are and enjoy life. Because in your 20s, you're supposed to travel and enjoy life and figure out what you want and who you are, all that stuff. Learn who you are first. And then when you want to settle down, you can get somebody, you know.
Get somebody. And go ahead, Flo.
And the good word says, train a child in the way you want them to grow, and they shall never depart from it. And when you're dealing with kids, it's not tell them, it has to be consistency. Because kids learn differently, you know, and if you're not consistent, you're not going to get through to them. It just has to be, you have to be a tyrant to get through to them what you need them to learn, so as they become adults, they can heed from it. You know,
there's a group of men, you know, I know plenty of men that are like in my age range now that are looking back, you know, either they've gone through divorces or they've never got anything. And we're telling our women, look, I understand you got some babies. I understand that there's another dude and stuff like that. I just want you to be soft. The one thing about being, you know, a baby mama and having to run a household by yourself, it robs you of your softness.
Yeah.
Our women are turning into men to the point where, what you shaking your head for? Angela shaking her man. Huh? I know you ain't no one, but I look at what Hollywood's trying to do. They made that.
Oh my God!
They made that movie and trying to turn our women into want them to start calling themselves. Ain't no such thing. Ain't no. They only do that to our women. It's disgusting. And we got a bunch of women out here, mad because men are all in the uproar about the title of this movie.
Woman King.
We're sick and tired of this narrative. We had the strong, independent stress. Remember, we had that stream. We talked about our women being strong. You're carrying too much, carrying crap that ain't yours to carry.
Got us looking all muscle bound and everything.
You're not the saviors of our.
Oh, when they called Charles the queen, the new queen.
I'm done.
They got him the